everyone. I'll admit people in as they come along, actually. And welcome to our pig event. Now, we are absolutely thrilled. So Patsy and I are both at home.
So we're going to call it Ready, Steady, Pig.
Steady, steady, big. Not pig.
Oh, I've just made that up.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I was laughing earlier about, I apologise if my doorbell goes, because normally we either do it at a venue or we do it in the evenings. So, you know.
Me too. Yeah.
It's all live. It's all live. Oh, look. And welcome, James Golden.
Baby Wren.
There he is. Look, can you see?
Oh, beautiful.
Hello, little.
So introduce your baba, James.
So this is little baby Wren. He's almost 11 months old. And he's got a cold.
Oh, bless
him.
Anyway,
so he's
very happy.
So he's passed on his cold to James.
Yeah.
So he's very stalwart. He's and I think so. Today is going to be a really lovely Q&A. By the way, James has 3 children. That's the youngest. So he's a busy man.
And Erica is here.
And Erica is wife.
Hello, Erica. Hello.
So today is going to be a really lovely casual chat, and Jay is going to do some cooking for us as well. And feel free to ask any questions down the side if you want to ask anything as we go along, or we haven't covered anything off. But we're going to start with a bit of a chat, and then we're going to Jay's going to do some cooking for us. Now, in terms of introduction, now I first met James about 20 years ago, when back in the day, and Dido, who's on the call with us, I actually is a friend of both of ours, and when they were coming up through the ranks doing all of their cooking, let me just admit someone else. I saw James at the beginning of his career, and then he's obviously gone on to great success like 20 years later. So I thought it'd be really amazing to talk about how you've got to where you've got to. Oh, can everyone go on silent? If you're not on silent already, that'd be amazing. Thank you. It would be a really good place to start. Now, Jay's at home, by the way, not at the pig. And before we learn a bit more about you, we are going to go down to the pig, aren't we? We're going to come down and do some filming in the kitchen garden. And it will be some exclusive, lovely things for you members. And we're going to interview Jay. He's going to take us through the kitchen garden and maybe do a bit more cooking down there as well. So we're going to plan that in the next few months, and then have that lovely sort of video to share with you guys. So this morning is at home with Jay. And tell us a little bit about you then, because I think it's really fascinating to know, because we see so many cooking programs and we see all these amazing chefs and everyone's obsessed with food. I think Patsy had an amazing question, didn't you, to kick off?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like obviously a real passion for food. When did that love affair start? It must have started from a very early age.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it did. I mean, I've always loved food. Food's obviously been something that's very was a big part of our family growing up. My mother's Italian, and my dad basically was very interested in food, so I used to get my mum to teach him a lot of bits and pieces, which meant we'd eat, very well most nights. But I think, for me, I suppose the first sort of time was when I was very young. I had a Mega Drive, so I was bought a Sega Mega Drive, and as a child, all I wanted to do was play Sonic. But in our house, we had this rule that we had to help with the cooking before we were allowed to play our computer game. So, it was sort of forced upon us, but in actual fact, it was probably the highlight of my week, because my parents used to make like pasta, and I remember like early memories of it all hanging from kind of, coat hangers around the kitchen. And it wasn't really until I got to 16 when I actually had to think about making money. And I knew that sort of probably playing the Mega Drive for the rest of my life probably wouldn't generate enough to support me. We went to one of these college open evenings, and I just remember we were wandering around, and you had all the usual people there, the army, be the best, you had the navy, you had all those sort of large recruiters. And as I turned a corner, I remember seeing this guy in a very, very tall hat with a long white apron and big sort of black boots on. And my dad said to me, he said, well, you're quite good at cooking. Why don't we go and have a chat and see what's going on over there? And to be honest, it was a bit of a light bulb moment. You know, the fact that I could actually make money off of doing something that I quite enjoyed was actually quite exciting, actually. And so we went over, we had a chat, and the original idea was I was going to do a course at Bournemouth or a course at Brokenhurst and just do a sort of, you know, college kind of diploma. And after chatting to this guy that I'd seen with a big tall hat, I found out that there was a course called the Specialised Chef course, which was run by the Royal Academy of Culinary Arts. And that's a meeting I've got this afternoon, actually. I've got their AGM this afternoon. And basically, it was a organisation run by the best chefs in the country. It was started by Albert Roux, and basically they put forward 12 kids, 16-year-old kids, and basically put them into establishments that were very reputable. And it was a scholarship. So basically, they took 12 children out of however many applicants, and you were given the opportunity to work and get your qualifications in like the big London hotels. So I didn't think, it was amazing. It was amazing, and it still runs to this day. And
so when you were 16 then, what hotel were you allocated?
So I was, it's funny,
It's a good one.
You do, good one, wasn't it?
You do 3 months at college before you find out what your hotel was. And there was always this rumour that the naughty boy would always go to the Savoy. And I had a couple of run-ins with my tutor there about long hair and not being particularly, you know, good in class. And funny enough, I went to the Savoy, and it was probably the best thing for me. It's what made me actually focus and concentrate on what I was doing. And I did 4 years there. And when I first started, there was 132 chefs in that kitchen. It was one of the largest kitchens in London. And it was one of those kitchens where you went and did a year, you got your certificate and you left. And I did 4 years there. So by the time I'd done a year and a half, I was one of the longest serving members in the kitchen at the age of 17, which was, it was quite an interesting, it was very tough, and something
standards are so high, aren't they?
Yes, it was. And you know, if you think about modern kitchens now, you know, each of our kitchens at the Pigs are probably the same size as one of the sections, you know, at the Savoy. That's how big the kitchen was. And it was Escoffier's kitchen, you know, the godfather of cookery. Anton Ederman was the head chef, you know, one of the best chefs in London at the time. And I was very, very lucky, I think, to be a part of that. And it's taught me the basics for the rest of my career.
So when you moved from the Savoy, talk us through some of the other places that you worked? Because I know that obviously there's lots of amazing restaurants in London, isn't there? But I think you do, for being so young, I guess, you sort of cut your cloth on who you kind of work with and what kind of...
Yeah. So after that, towards the end of my apprenticeship, I graduated and I got my qualifications, and I did another year. And during that year, I'd moved in with a couple of mates, and one of them was working at Le Caprice, called Claire. And I just remember her saying, you know, we're looking for chefs. You fancy coming down and having an interview? And I was at that stage, you know, Anton Ederman knew that I was ready to leave, and it was all very, you know, it was all very, very sort of out in the open. There was no sort of running away or anything. But I went for an interview with Kevin Grattan, and I got chef de partie at Caprice, and I met Dido there. Hello, Dido. So we worked at Caprice together. I did a couple of years there with Hixie and Elliot, and then I stayed in that company. Actually, I left for a few months and went travelling, and then I went to Sheiky's after that, and I got to be sous chef at Sheiky's. And then Elliot, who was the head chef there at the time, said, I've been made chef director of Soho House, New York. So I thought, well, that could be quite fun. Erica and I just...
Was it fun?
It was pretty fun. I mean, I was supposed to be going out there just to do the Oscar party in LA. And Erica and I just got married, and she didn't particularly want to go back out there. But I basically got offered the head chef job about a month before I was supposed to be going out to LA. And we just sort of did it. We made it work, and it was amazing. It was, you know, very cool. We were living in the West Village in Manhattan, and I was just basically having a great time.
Jay, tell us about that LA Oscar party. Is there any good?
Oh yes, do tell.
Imagine we're on Lorraine, but it's a smaller audience, so you can.
Yeah.
You can tell us
there's nobody going to be watching this, so I can. So, oh, you
Oh.
lost me again.
Yeah, we
Oh,
need
now
we need your TV back. We can hear you.
we can
So
hear you. But
I've put it on. I've put it on Do Not Disturb. Yes, I'm still getting a phone call. How's that working? That's very strange. Okay, am I back now?
There you are. There you are.
There we go. Okay, so yeah, it was the Oscar. So it wasn't the actual Oscar party. What happens is that Soho House and a load of other people they arrange an after party, which is basically all these humongous, amazing houses dotted all around the hillsides of LA. So after the official Oscar party, all the VIPs basically go to these houses for the after party. Now, anybody who knows what an after party is all about, it's usually better than the actual ceremony, and this was no exception. We had Jimmy Choo there, we had Diamonds International, we had the Cowshed, we had the whole underside of the house was it had been done up like the Playboy Grotto. So it was like this swimming pool. It was all, and U2 had the house before us. We won Best Oscar House in the LA Times, and it was just absolutely incredible. Basically, everybody was coming in and just having a big party.
Having a good time. Enjoying your gorgeous food as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you sort of moved back from New York, how long have you been at the Pig? No.
11 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, while I was out at New York, they used to have the directors' meetings out there. So I met Robin Hudson, who is my boss, CEO of the Pig, and we got chatting and we got on really, really well. And then I came back after breaking my foot. Actually, I smashed my heel bone up into pieces, and I was like, "We've got to come home. We've got a new baby. You know, life is far more simpler at home." So we came back, and I got all fixed up, and then I got back in the kitchen. And I was working at a place in Sandbanks, and I was head chef there. Got him a couple of rosettes, and just sort of, was sort of, tinkering along, and then thought, actually, I'd quite like to do something else. And the original plan was to go back to London, go and see Hixie. But then I picked up the Sunday Times, and there's Robin Hudson standing in front of Limewood like this. And I thought, actually, he's just up the road. So I sent him an email just saying, "Hi, Robin, see that you're down in the south. Do you fancy meeting up?" And he was like, "Yeah, let's meet up next week for a coffee." So I met up with him. They'd inherited this house in Brokenhurst, which was an old royal hunting lodge. It was owned by the Queen Mother's family, and called Whitley Ridge. And he said, "We want to do something with this house. What do you think?" So we had a wander around, had a small kitchen garden. It had all these amazing woodlands and grounds. And the original idea was to try and run this house in a similar way to how it used to run when it was owned by the Queen Mother's family. So it would have had a kitchen gardener, it would have had a forager, it would have had animals, game would have been on the menu, all that sort of stuff. And so Limewood opened. We shut down Whitley Ridge, and we opened it as a little hotel called Whitley Ridge for a year while we did Limewood, and then shut it down. We did a big refurb and launched it as the Pig in 2011.
And so that was 2011.
Yeah, but I'd obviously been working there for a year. Before that, we'd been working there for a year and a half, getting it all up to spec how we wanted it to be.
Because how many are there now? There's 8, 6?
7.
7.
Yeah. So
where are all the locations of them, just so people know?
Yeah, so we've got the Pig. The original Pig is one in Brokenhurst in the New Forest, and then we did Pig in the Wall, which is a kind of little boutique B&B in Southampton, and then we've got the Pig on the Beach, which sits right on the cliff top in Studland Bay, overlooking Old Harry Rocks. We've got the Pig near Bath, which is up in Hun Street, and we've got our own deer, and it's just sort of very focused on games, big old Georgian property. Then we've got the Pig at Coombe, which is down in Honiton. So that's a beautiful Elizabethan house. Actually, the first registered owner of Coombe was a guy called Bishop Odo, who was William the Conqueror's half-brother. So that gives you an idea how old the house is.
A bit of history there, isn't there?
A bit of history. And then we've got the Pig at Bridge, which is over in Canterbury, which is also pretty cool. It's where Led Zeppelin used to play. And it's quite a really beautiful building over there. So it's in the hamlet of Bridge.
Scarlett might be interested in that. Who's on this call, actually?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got Harlyn, which we've just opened, which is down in Harlyn Bay, just near Padstow, and that's overlooking the sea down there. Stunning property. It's an old 14th century farmhouse, and just beautiful. So I'm sort of going from one end of the country to the other at the moment.
Wow.
But it's
I mean, they all sound like amazing locations with lots of
yeah.
history as well, which is
Yes,
fantastic.
absolutely. Yeah, sorry, we've got one more opening in spring. So we've got the one over near Arundel. It's going to be the Pig in the Downs, and we've just put in some a vineyard down there. So we're going to be producing our own wine at that Pig. Which is pretty
Beautiful.
cool.
And has
Wine
the
tasting
timings?
girls coming on, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have the timings changed, Jay, with this sort of lockdown of like Sussex opening, or was that always going to be next year?
I mean, we actually had Sussex before we had Harlem, but it's been really tricky, and yeah, obviously COVID didn't help. So we've had to sort of mess that about. I mean, the fact that we're opening in spring is pretty good, and yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? The thing about building is you could kind of carry on with it, but we couldn't get too far because we didn't know how long the shutdown or lockdown was going to be on for. So yeah, it's been interesting. And obviously we've had to shut everything down and then open everything up. We've got over 1,000 staff, across the hotels. So, trying to manage that whole logistics of employment's quite a big thing.
How did you manage, James, in the lockdown? Were you offering sort of takeaway service or anything like that?
We looked into it. I mean, the problem with our hotels is that you've got to drive all the way up the drive to get to the house. And because, the nature of our properties, it was basically a logistical nightmare, trying to sort of make sure that the sites were secure and they were safe. And then, trying to factor in takeaway it was just all a bit too much. So in the end, we shut it down. We had a handful of people looking after the properties for security reasons and stuff like that. But yeah, Robin was very much, let's just stop and then, have a think, regroup and reopen when we can.
And how does your role work? It's really interesting for people to understand how it works, because obviously that's a lot of places for you to oversee. And then after that, let's talk about the kitchen garden and obviously the 25-mile menu, because I think that's really interesting as a concept. But yeah, how does your role work? So how does it? So
we've been very lucky, really. I mean, with the whole, because we've opened quite organically, we haven't just done them all at once. We've opened like, one every sort of year and a bit. We've been quite lucky with the whole staff retention. So a lot of my head chefs were from my original team and or from the original team's sous chefs, so it grows organically. We very rarely bring in any sort of chefs that haven't worked from the bottom up. And what that does is that allows us to basically keep all that knowledge and also train the guys on how we need them to operate the kitchen, because a lot of normal chefs, if they need something, they'll pick up the phone and they'll order it. Whereas we need to utilise that from the garden surrounding areas. So my job is to basically oversee that, is to work with the head chefs on menus, on producers. A lot of it's firefighting, if I'm honest. There's a lot of running around, sorting stuff out, and obviously consistency. So, I spend a lot of time eating, not as much time in the gym, and it's
don't we all?
I know. I mean,
Yes.
I try not. Everybody says, "Oh, poor you." I bet it's really hard life, wandering around all the pigs eating. But in actual fact, it's pretty hard. I mean, I put the shirt on this morning, and it doesn't really fit me anymore.
They're all feeling a bit like that, to be honest.
That's what they always say with MasterChef, isn't it? Do you remember? They always say those two guys always put on loads of weight, don't they?
Yeah, during that time when they're filming, because they're eating so much. Yeah, definitely.
I know. Well, that's my world.
So tell us about the pig, because obviously most of us on the call will know the concept and a little bit, and have been probably, and think it's gorgeous because it totally is. So tell us about the whole sort of forager, gardener, chef kind of experience, because it was a real first, wasn't it? I mean, you guys were there first doing it.
Yeah, I mean, when we opened the first pig in the first year, I think we were the most spoken about hotel in the UK, and we won the BA High Life Award alongside Heston, and multiple awards. We won the first ever sustainability award for the Sustainable Restaurant Association. We won a Katie in the first year, which is like the Oscars of the hotel and restaurant industry. So it was relatively new, and I think it was, well, it still is. It's quite a hard thing to kind of keep going. I think a lot of people try to replicate it, but can't actually maybe do it as well as we do. And there's a lot of reasons. One goes back to what I was saying about the retaining the staff, but at the same time, it's also about the passing on of knowledge. So it's about the 25-mile menu. So we have our 25-mile menu, and we say that 80% of everything that's on that menu comes from within a 25-mile radius. And what we can't source from within that that mileage, we produce it ourselves. So, for example, all the veg that comes out the garden will go on the menu, but we can't be 100% self-sustainable from the gardens because they're not big enough. No. So we team up with local farms that will produce what we grow and keep us with enough produce to actually keep that on the menu. So it's still grown locally, it's still the same soil, it's grown exactly the same method, but we get it from a local producer. Things like our charcuterie. So we didn't want to be buying in bits and pieces from Italy or France or Spain. So we teamed up with a local butcher called Mr. Bartlett, and we have a company called A Pinch of Salt, which produces all our British cured meats. Smoked salmon, most of it's produced in Scotland and Ireland. We produce it ourselves, so we have a barter system with a local sawmill where we go and collect their sawdust from trees that fell locally, and we swap it for smoked salmon, and we smoke all of our fish in local sawdust. So it's little things like that which sort of make us slightly different, but at the same time, that's a lot of work. We need people that understand how to do it and how to do it quickly in order to keep that philosophy alive, and that's what we tend to do.
Because it is like you say, it's actually living and breathing and producing it, isn't it? Because it isn't that easy to do. And actually, if you are going to be, I think we could probably all correlate this to our own lives and being more sustainable, because with lockdown, obviously people use more farm shops, got food delivered or went and sourced it. And as soon as it opens up again, it's quite easy to be a little bit more kind of, I'll just get this. But I must admit, personally, I'm always horrified when I look at fruit and kind of see that it's from South America or something, and you just think, But is it?
I've stopped buying some vegetables and fruit if I know that they're, have had to travel hundreds, thousands of miles to get here. Maybe.
Is there with the pig? Do you kind of are you seasonal in terms of what you produce on the plate?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the whole thing about what we do is everything is produced by us. So even the plants in the garden, we have a large polytunnel down in Lyndhurst. I mean, it's the size of a house. And basically, we grow all of our plants that you see at every single pig garden from a seed that we've collected from a previous plant there. We then send them out in plug form. So, when you see little sort of mini plants all in these trays, they're all produced by us, and they will go out to every single pig, and they actually grow from our own seed. So that's how we know that every plant that we have in there is to our spec as well as seasonal, because we can't, if you're going to grow something, it's got to be able to survive out in our gardens, and that's completely driven by the season. So, if we start planting stuff out in the middle of winter that's not going to live, and the great thing about that is it drives the menu. So, but also it's a catch-22. So in the summer, you've got a jungle. I mean, if you go down there now, every single garden, actually, I've put some bits on my Instagram. I've done videos of tours of the gardens at all the hotels. You can see they're like absolute jungles. Whereas when I do the tour in winter, because you've got less light, everything grows slower. Most of the gardens are full of brassicas or, onions and stuff like that. You tend to find that everything is a lot sort of darker. So this is the time of year when all the chefs are pickling stuff, they're clamping stuff, they're preserving everything, because we've got an abundance. And that's part of the whole sort of seasonality of the menu. If the gardener says, right, we've got a frost coming next week, I've got to clear all the beetroot or all the, whatever it is, probably, or the lemon verbena, for example, we've got to clear all that. Then the chef's like, right, well, we'll do this, we'll do that. We'll put all these dishes on. And so the menu is completely driven by what's coming out the garden or what the forager's bringing in now. I mean, at the moment, the amount of sea veg and mushrooms and all that sort of stuff that's around, it's just insane. So the chefs might be changing 3 or 4 dishes a day at this point.
And it's so much better, isn't it?
We've got a question in from Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. Do you offer or think about offering an apprentice type scheme for younger people that want to learn about sustainability and buying local? Now, knowing you a little bit, I know that definitely that you will do some apprenticeship type.
We've done it. We've done. Thank you, Sarah. I mean, we've won multiple awards for our apprenticeship. So I started it up about 6 years ago, going back to what I was saying about me being on the specialised chef course, 1 year, for whatever reason, they forgot to give me a spec chef. So I take specialised chefs in the same way that I was given that opportunity when I was younger. And 1 year they forgot. So I said to my pastry chef, I said, look, we need to start an apprenticeship. You know, we can't have a year where we haven't got a young person learning what we do. So we started this apprenticeship and we took on 2 16-year-old kids. And the next year we took on 3. Next year we took on 4. Now we've got 20 apprentices across the group who basically move around the hotel. So they'll start at 1, they'll do a year, they'll get their qualification, they'll move on to the next one, do a year. And then at the end of it, whether they've done 3 or 4 years, we send them to Portetta, and which is in Courchevel, so a ski lodge with Angela Hartnett, and they do a ski season out there. But yeah, we won best chef apprenticeship program a couple of years ago, and
Wow.
one of our apprentices won best chef apprentice in the UK at the Savoy Hotel last year.
Oh, was that quite emotional for you? I remember seeing pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. So this little kid, his name's Fu Ting, right? And I met him, I was doing a demonstration at a local school in Ringwood. And he came up to me afterwards. He said, I work at my parents' Chinese takeaway. He said, I'm looking to be a chef. Can you give me a card? So I gave him a card. And I didn't hear anything from him for a while. And then suddenly I got a phone call saying, can I come and see you with my mum next week? Because I want to have a go at getting on your apprenticeship. So he came down with his mum, and he's just done incredible. I mean, the kid is like a machine. And he won Best Chef Apprentice at the Savoy last year after doing, I think it's 2.5 years with us. And it was emotional. You know, it's having my apprentice get that award, which is a top award in the UK, you know, at the place where I did my apprenticeship, was very, very special. It was great.
And a question from Nikki, we're segueing a little bit, sorry. Why is it called the Pig? Should have asked you that at the beginning.
Yeah, you know what? So basically, when it was first set up, it's called the Whitley Ridge, and the Whitley Ridge is the area. So it's like a ridge in the New Forest, just outside Brokenhurst. And Robin wanted to sort of take away, you know, if you think about a country house hotel back in the day, quite stuffy. You know, the curtains probably need a good old beating. You know, that everybody's sort of looking at their shoes. It was quite sort of, the whole hotel felt very sort of, not run down, I think run down's the wrong word, but sort of tired.
Old fashioned, so, yeah.
Yeah, and you get the guys coming up, and people would use it for like birthdays, special occasions. You know, it's not like the same vibrancy that we were used to working in London. You know, when you go to a restaurant just for a bite to eat, or, you know, you're coming home from work and you stop in to have a couple of plates of food. So we wanted it to be something that was a bit more kind of relaxed. And we had Limewood up the road, which was our 5 red-star luxury hotel. You know, that's all people that want to go there, they can do that. So the idea was trying to take away that sort of stuffiness. So the Whitley Ridge didn't really fit into our branding. And Robin at the time, he said, you know, he put it out and he had just playing around with all sorts of names. You know, the pig in the garden, the potted pig, there was lots of options. And then I think somebody just said, sod it, let's just call it the Pig. You know, it's.
Did lots of people claim that it was them? I was one that said it in a meeting.
No, I think it was Robin. It was Robin. But,
my idea.
But what it did was it took away that sort of stuffiness. So we've got this sign at the front of all the properties, a big gold pig on a sort of green background, and it sticks out. You know, it's very, very cool. But what we wanted was people to drive past and go, oh, maybe it's a pub. You know, drive up there, and when they go up, they say, oh, it's not a pub, but actually looks quite nice, let's have a look. So the idea was we wanted relaxed people to be able to feel that they could drive up that drive and not think that they're going to be met with a guy in white gloves at the end of the drive. And it works. You know, people would drive up there and they'd be happily surprised, and they'd stop in, they'd have a bite to eat. And now it really is a sort of neighborhood, but also destination restaurant. It's not about that stuffy sort of hotel restaurant. It's a restaurant with rooms rather than a hotel with a restaurant.
And what's one of your favorite, or a couple of your favorite dishes? What do you like eating, or what do you think is a real signature dish?
Yeah, I mean, we've got the dishes that are mine that stay on every single menu. So we've got my smoked salmon, which I do with, so during the season I do with pickled rock samphire, and some of that Willie's cider that I turned into a vinaigrette that we were talking about earlier. Actually, I get it.
Yeah. Show us the Willie's cider, which apparently is amazing.
the Willie cider. So this is made by the same guys that make Chase vodka and gin, and it's basically a
show it
raw,
out. Look,
unpasteurised.
I see people looking interested. There you go. Look.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. So so it's really good for you, really good for the gut. Very, very kind of. It's got a great flavour. So anyway, so we make all of our vinaigrette for that. We've got my charcuterie. Someone's got that, Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
And it's just a really good, and then we have things like our brock eggs, which was something that we created. We have quails and pigs and chickens and all sorts of animals as well. And we did like a little brock egg. So it's a soft boiled quail egg that we wrap in ham hock, and then we bread it and fry it. So it's a bit like a sort of really cool little Scotch egg, which we serve with the Coleman's dressing. So that's always on as well. And yeah, but apart from that, I mean, the biggest thing, and this is where, the whole, going back to our retention thing, we need to give the head chefs enough room to be creative. I can't be the person that's going around dictating what they have on the menu. So a lot of those dishes that stay on are also set beside, another sort of 10 or 15 dishes which they have to create themselves. So that's another part of my job. That's where the tasting comes in, is working with those guys to get the dishes right, to get them on the menu so that they have real ownership and that the menu is very personal to them. So, yeah.
What's your best seller? What do you sell the most of?
Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of smoked salmon. We actually donate now. So we donate £1 for every portion of smoked salmon that's sold to Action Against Hunger, which is a charity which supports people within our industry with mental health issues, and also people that are down on the luck.
I think that's a good one to promote, actually. So if we do ever go to the Pig, which we all will, obviously, then to order that, because that's a good reason as any to actually order.
Absolutely. That. Yeah, and then apart from... Go on, sorry.
Oh, no, carry on. Were you going to say another one?
No, it's fine.
Where would you say, if we were booking a Pig, I mean, I'm sure lots of people have already been, where's your fave? Are you allowed to have favourites? Is it like your kid? Can you not pick one?
I don't think I can. I mean, I think Brokenhurst will always hold a very special place in my heart because it was obviously the original one. It was the one that, we sort of started the whole philosophy at and all that. So, yeah, I think I won't say it's my favourite because I'm sure, I can't have a favourite, but I'd say it has a very special place. Yeah, Brokenhurst. Sure.
And have you got any top tips for us if we're trying to book? Like, have you got any insider scoop?
Yeah, but now
it gets booked right out. Now. Book now.
But now, it's we're very busy. I think we're operating for rooms about 99% occupancy across the group for the next couple of months. And
the law is now you not have to have a room empty in between the adjacent room.
Yeah,
so it's half occupancy, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's half that. And then also with the tables, because it's dropped down to 4, we're now in a situation where we've got to have a lot of those larger tables are now dropping down. So you've only got a certain amount of smaller tables. So it just,
so less covers.
Yeah. I mean, we're very lucky that we've got a lot of outdoor space, so we're utilising that. But obviously, as the weather gets colder, that'll decrease.
And each of the Pig, can I just ask this because I don't know the answer actually, and maybe others don't know the answer. Each Pig, is it all of them, all hotels? I know they've obviously got restaurants, but they're all hotels where you can stay.
Yes.
Some are larger than others.
Some are slightly larger than others, but I suppose that the only one out of the litter that's not quite the same as a Pig in the Wall. So Pig in the Wall, we call it a boutique B&B because it was another property that we kind of inherited when we bought the group, and it's basically it's in the centre of Southampton, but it overlooks, you can see like the docks and all that. It's quite cool, but it doesn't have a restaurant. We've got a sort of deli. There's a seating area downstairs where you sit down and have coffee and breakfast and light bites and stuff. But if you want an actual dinner, you can still stay there. But we have a Land Rover Defender service that will take you to the one in Brokenhurst. You can go and have dinner, and then we pick you up and we bring you back free of charge. And it's quite cool. They sort of, you go shooting through the New Forest, in this Defender. It's quite a cool experience. And so we do offer it, even though you can't eat it where you're staying.
That's good.
Now I'm conscious of time, and there's a kitchen, but there's a kitchen behind you.
Oh yes.
What are you going to cook? Because I think we thought it's Monday morning, and obviously Jay is in his home kitchen as opposed to the pig, and we thought something light and quick would be really fun to show. And obviously, when we do some filming there later on in the year, then we can show you some sort of bigger stuff. But so, what are you gonna show us, Jay? What are we going to be good at after this?
You know what I thought. So I've been away all weekend on the boat. So I got back and I thought I'd just do something that I really like for lunch, actually. And like you said, we're going to do a proper masterclass when we're down at the Pig. But I thought, so I don't know if anybody knows, but I'm a world cheese judge as well. So I judge a lot of cheeses. And we had the Great Taste Awards last week. And I've got some cheese here that I need to try. So I thought maybe we do a little dish, which... Yeah.
Can we just stop right there? World cheese judge.
Yeah, we didn't
know you move on.
Anything about that.
World cheese judge. Give us 30 seconds on judging cheese.
Is there any end to your talent?
So I used to be a Great Taste Award judge with a few people, and we did that last week in London. But I every single time they did the Great Taste Awards, it was always my birthday. So I'd have to run home really quick because the kids wanted to see me and all sorts of stuff. So I said to them about 3 years ago, can I stop doing that? I really want to do World Cheese Awards. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll see what we can do. And then that sort of summer, I got an email saying you've been invited to London to judge the World Cheese Awards. So I did that, and it was amazing, and it's absolutely incredible. You judge about 50 cheeses in a room full of thousands of cheeses from all around the world. And then the next year we went to Norway. We did it in Norway. Last year we were in Italy, so we did Italy. And there's a group of us. It's myself, Drew Baker from MasterChef, and Morgan, who's got the Muswell Cheese Shop, and Jose Pizarro and Melissa Hemsley, all these sort of fun people. So we all go out and we do the cheese awards. But this cheese actually that I'm doing today, has anybody heard of Renegade Monk? I don't know if you've heard of a cheese. It's a bit crazy. If you like strong cheeses, it's quite funky. This is their next cheese called Rebel Nun. Ooh. And it's pretty cool. I mean, the branding on that.
Jay, Debbie's just said, can you imagine the smell? And
and I just imagine the smell in the room.
I mean, the babies just started crying.
Yeah, you were saying how smelly that cheese is, weren't you?
It's really smelly.
But I'm just imagining 1,000 different cheeses all in one room. Imagine. Does it really smell that high?
Yeah, it's amazing. And actually, the one in Italy, we arrived there, and usually it's quite sort of traditional. There's usually people like Norway's people dressed up in classic clothes, sort of talking about cheese. When we got to Italy, in true Italian style, there's this guy sitting there covered in more tattoos than me, tattooing a parmesan. Like this. Like, whoa, what's going on here? So Italy was mad, but
sorry, I interrupted you. You get into your flow in terms of what you're cooking.
Yeah.
Okay. So this cheese here, this is made in Somerset. It's from Feltham's Farm. So this is basically, it's in a poisse style cheese. So it's washed rind cheese, but it's got blue mold in it, a bit like sort of gorgonzola. So if you think about a combination between probably the strongest, smelliest French cheese you can find with a gorgonzola, that's what's happening in this room at the moment. But the reason why I've chosen this cheese is, one, because I really want to try it, but two, because it's a British producer. Britain, we are smashing it with cheese at the moment. We're actually producing more cheese now than the French, which I think is incredible. And there's a few reasons for that. One is because the French are sort of tied to restrictions, like you can only produce certain cheeses in certain areas. But over here, we don't have those restrictions. So we've got some incredible cheesemakers that can make, say, a Roquefort-style cheese in the UK. Everybody can make brie, whereas out there, you're restricted. So it's a very exciting time for cheese. Another thing which I'm going to couple this with, which is also quite unique to the continent, is truffle. So I've got a black truffle here that I've got in some risotto rice. And this is actually from a company called the Meon Valley Truffle Company, and it's based down here in Hampshire. And as you can see, it's quite a cool little black truffle. The smell on it is amazing, and truffle goes really, really well with cheese. So essentially what I'm doing is a posh kind of play on truffle and cheese on toast. So I'm going to do that, and it won't take me very long. And I'm going to try and get my camera wrong way. Can you see my board?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I've just got some bread, and like I said, it's probably going to take about 3 minutes. I've got a little bit of olive oil that's infused with a little bit of truffle. Now, you don't have to use the truffle oil if your truffle's really strong, but I quite like that smell that you get when you get the warm oil just sort of coming through the bread.
Can you buy that olive oil with truffle?
Yeah, you can get it anywhere. I mean, I think I got this one at Waitrose actually, but you pick it up, get it pretty much anywhere. Where's my salt? So I've got this blackthorn salt. So we've had to pack everything up because the baby's pulling everything off the shelf. It's just at that age now where everything is about arm's length. So we've had to pack it all away. But I'm using this stuff at the moment. This is blackthorn salt. And this is an incredible salt company. They're based up in Scotland. And what he does is he filters all the salt. I think, can you see that? He builds like this tunnel and he puts blackthorn trees through it and filters the seawater through the blackthorn. It produces the most incredible sea salt. So I've been using this for a while now. So just a little sprinkle of that on top of the toast. Press it on. And we're just going to toast it, literally. Simple as that. So I'm going to put that under the grill. There we go. Actually, I'll put it in the toaster. And then with the truffle, I mean, I don't know if everybody knows how truffle grows, but basically they're like a mushroom. They're like a spore. So at the moment, we've got septs and oyster mushrooms popping up everywhere in the New Forest. It's been the most incredible year, but these guys actually grow underground, and they're usually found in the Perigord area, down in South France, or you can get white truffles from Alba in Italy. But the truffles we get in the UK usually tend to be sort of summer truffles. So they're not quite as intense in flavour, but really, really tasty, when coupled with things. So the smell's really good on this. You can see that it's just started to turn a sort of dark brown, which is how we sort of want them. So we're going to take some of this cheese out. I don't know if you can see. Yeah.
What's so good about truffles?
They're just super tasty.
But
super tasty. I mean,
is it like something that you could add in? Like, what are truffles good to add into? Forgive my food ignorance here.
So with cheese, they go really well. Risottos, pastas, all that sort of, great cream. It works really well with cream. Think about the most unhealthy, creamy, buttery dish you can think of, and that pretty much is what you want to put with it. I mean, Dido will probably remember the truffle risottos we used to do at Caprice. We used to do white truffle risottos, and they had to be finished last minute with champagne, and then the only person added to the truffle was the sous chef, so he'd add it on, or sometimes they'd do it at the table. I can't remember. Dido, if you're still there, do you remember?
She's typing. I can see her typing.
Oh, she's typing.
She's filling you in. And what do you cook this kind of thing at home, Jay? Like if you...
Yeah. So I'm just going to yeah, I cook this at home. I mean, to be fair, if I was cooking it for the kids, I put truffle honey. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, truffle honey's great, really good. Yeah, honey's really good. Actually, we could probably do a bit of honey with this.
Put a bit of honey.
That would work really well. I've got some. What have I got here? I've got some Dorset honey here. Okay, I'm going to do a bit of that. Yeah,
Dido says about the Caprice, amazing risottos. Obviously, they both work there together. Yes, it was the sous chef or head chef. No one else was allowed near the special jar of truffles.
Yeah, probably because it cost more than we were getting paid for the 6 months.
I seem to remember the pay wasn't great back in the day.
Yeah, you know what? It was a lot better than when I was at the Savoy. When I first started at the Savoy, I was doing 75 hours a week, and I was getting, I think, £110.
Wow.
In London.
Yeah, and I think my rent was 60 quid a week. Anyway, we won't talk about that. Okay,
that's real dedication for you, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So
with the truffle, can we just go back to the truffle?
Yeah.
A size like that, how long would that last if you were making risottos or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, I tend to keep it in rice because it will take on some of the flavour. So I keep it in risotto rice. But if you keep it in rice in there, I mean, I've had that for probably about 5 days. So it's probably about 10 days old by now, and it's still nice and It's firm. It's got a great smell on it.
And
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
the shelf life on them if you keep them in a jar like that?
you probably keep them a couple of weeks. I mean, if they start drying out, you could just wrap them in a bit of damp kitchen cloth.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, I mean, you've got to sort of check them every couple of days, because the danger is that sometimes they get too dry, or sometimes they might go a bit mouldy. But you can just brush that off. You know,
Right.
it just usually forms on the outside. It's like a white mould, the same sort of mould that you get on cheese. So
Right.
it's not dangerous in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is my honey? Oh yeah, it's good. So this is some Dorset honey actually that I was using a couple of weeks ago. This is produced up near what's it called? Yeah, over in Studland.
We have a lovely producer here, which Debbie was just saying on the chat, Henley's, honey of Henley's, which is really nice.
Right.
I think it's wonderful how that whole industry has just in the last 20 years just really there's so many wonderful producers, and I know where we are in Oxfordshire, and it's the same in every pocket, I suppose, in the country, where you have these amazing food producers that are doing beautiful things.
I mean, they're kind of the backbone of everything that we do. You know, without the producers there, we couldn't run our menu in the same way. But you know, it's probably worth saying as well, we promote all of our producers on the back of the menu. So when you come to the Pig, there's like an illustrated map on the back, and you can see how many miles away each of our producers are from the Pig. So the idea is that they can go and check them out. People can go and see what that producer doing, and also say, you know, we tried your stuff at the Pig, and actually buy it. Brilliant. You're right. Sorry, it's fine.
Oh, I love it. We love the authenticity of the lovely baby, lovely Ren.
Yeah.
I love. Right, I think. Yeah. If show us what you're doing there, then, because what have you got in there again? Remind us.
So this is literally just the cheese. All I've done is just put it into a bowl, and I've broken it down a little bit, just so that you don't get any lumps of, you know, big lumps of rind. I've just sort of mixed it around. I haven't put anything in there because it's super. I mean, look, it's gone a bit like cream cheese. Wow. You know, so
looks yummy.
But the smell's really good. So just to recap, I've put a bit of truffle oil on the toast, a bit of black forest salt. I've toasted the bread. This is a malted bread as well. You need something that's a little bit sweet. Don't just use Mighty White or something like that. And then I'm joking. By the way. Can you get Mighty White anymore? I don't think you can you?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can get all sorts of white, horrendous,
Somebody said to me the other day, "Do you ever eat white bread?" I said, "I can't physically remember the last time I had white bread."
Is there anything good in white bread? I mean, is there anything good in a bit of flour?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think there's anything good. I think it's about 80% soy, isn't it? That's what somebody said. Anyway, so I've got my funky truffle slicer here. I got this when we were in France. I don't know if you see that. It's got a little French truffle. So this is basically like a really tiny little mandolin. You can actually use a microplane if you wanted, but I quite like seeing the slices. See, Ren can smell the cheese. He's hungry.
He likes the cheese.
So we're going to just put a little... And the idea is that you need this thin enough so that it coats the top of the bread.
If you're a chef,
quite a bit on there then. It's quite
quite a bit.
Yeah.
I took the a few years ago. We took the kids truffling in South France, and we went out there with a few mates. My friend Damien's parents had a little sort of gîte out there, and I just remember every single morning we were doing truffle eggs, or we did like a truffle tasting menu or something like that. And my daughter Rio was sat there, and she looked at me. She goes, "Dad, is there any chance just one day we can have a meal without all this black stuff on it?" And I went, "You are joking."
Do you ever take your kids do they ever get to McDonald's or not? Is that like a no-no?
That is pretty much a no-no. I think Erica might take them every now and again, but no. I mean, the thing is, I can't physically do it. Like we will have like a cheeky Chinese or an Indian, you know, a curry or something, but no, I can't do the McDonald's thing. Plus, I hate standing in the queue. It drives me no. But so that's, I don't know if you can see that. So you got your lovely warm toast, you got your truffle, you got your cheese, and then I'm going to put some of this honey on. It works really well because the other thing is with this cheese, because it's an Epoisse style cheese, it is very strong, and it can, you know, if you're not used to eating strong cheeses, sometimes it can sort of be a bit intense. So what the honey does, it just helps with that sort of feeling of, you know, the burning feeling I'm talking about, like when you get a really strong Roquefort, you know, it has
you put quite a lot of honey.
Yeah, well, I put a lot of cheese on, so you've got to counterbalance it out. So when we finish, and it's for my lunch, I'll probably put the rest of the truffle on. I just didn't want to look too greedy when I was.
I see.
So there we go. So there it is. Super simple, super tasty.
Oh,
you just get that lovely warmth from the toast, just warming the cheese through.
You're inspiring Scarlett, who's currently cooking cheddar on toast, and she's put some truffle oil on it.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, she's watched.
Beautiful.
And a little bit of honey. That'd be good.
A bit of honey, Scarlett. You need to get going.
Yeah. So there we go. So that's it. So that's my British truffle with Rebel Nun on toast.
Amazing. Thank you. I know it's really kind of you to do a bit of cooking, because it's not the easiest, is it? Like when we're doing like a short version, but we thought it'd be nice to show a little bit of the skill set. Obviously there's lots more to what you do, but that's amazing. I think actually sometimes it's those little tips, because I think if you're good at cooking, you're good at kind of knowing what goes together, but I think that's nice to get a little sort of, you put a bit of honey and whatever. Yeah,
it's good. And also, you know, I hope people you can buy this cheese online from them, and you know, and me on truffle as well. So all of these products, you know, support local producers. All these products are available from their website. So if you're interested in trying them, give them a go.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the name of the truffle again, James?
So Meon Valley.
Meon Valley.
Meon Valley truffle.
Yeah.
Before, because I'm conscious it's sort of 5 to 12. Does anyone have any questions for Jay? I know people have been sort of commenting as we go through, but I just thought for the last 5 minutes, if anyone's got any burning questions, I think it's amazing to support obviously the restaurant and the hospitality industry at the moment as much as we can. And I know that locally we're all doing, you know, getting deliveries and trying to go to our restaurants and things. And I think it's tough times, isn't it? But obviously the wonderful stuff that you guys do is just fantastic. You know,
it's tricky. I mean, a lot of the producers have diversified their, you know, a lot of people that would have just been wholesale have now, you know, gone back to or gone to retail, which is quite interesting. You know, it's
Lily wants to know, great chat, where's the cheese from again? Website, the Rebel Nun one.
So this is Feltham's Farm, and they've got a website and they've definitely got a Facebook page. But so basically, you can buy it in Frome if you're anywhere near there, or they do online. You go to their website, they'll send it to you. So Feltham's Farm, Rebel Nun, Somerset. Yeah.
I'd like to see some pictures of people's posh truffle.
Yeah, we want to see those on the grid, girls.
I bet it smells good. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Jay, thank you so much. It's been really amazing and just so lovely. I think I do love Zoom for kind of natural, kind of relaxed chat. It's very different, isn't it, when you're sitting on some sort of posh sofa? It's quite nice to sort of
Yeah.
Thank you so much, James.
You're welcome. Great to be here.
I can't wait to come and see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the live kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant. Enjoy your experience of eating that now, Jay. And thank you so much, everyone.
You're making me hungry.
Bye.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao.